You folks just started breaking out into spontaneous clapping. Does my heart well to see folks getting excited about God, but at the same time, it scares me. Here's why it scares me. I do have a few gifts, and there are a few things that I cannot do. I so want to be a part when you start doing that clappy thing. But one of the gifts I do not have is rhythm. And the more closely I watch someone clapping, the more I'm off beat. So when y'all start clapping, I just start smiling. Because it's an inside joke. I can't do it. So when you see me up here grinning, it's not that I'm crazy. It's not that, someone told a joke. It's you are doing something that I just can't do. Feels good to get that off my chest. That way you know why I'm not participating along with you. It's not that I don't want to. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. This morning we'll be taking a look at Revelation chapter 3, verses 7 through 13. And as you're turning there, we have a special word in form of a video.
You've been a good enough father. I want to be a good enough father.
Let's go, let's go!
Don't quit! Don't quit!
Hey, you know what? I thought your jump roping routine was really good.
I just got a notification that you moved money from our savings into your checking account.
Can we talk about this later?
You must be the real estate agent.
Well, it's so good to meet you.
Let me show you the house.
This is my favorite place in this house. I call it my war room.
You wrote prayers for each area of your life.
Prayer strategy.
I sure could use some of that. Tony, you should go see her practice tomorrow.
I'm out of town this week.
When were you going to tell me?
I just did.
Tony.
That was my favorite rep.
I'm real good. How you doing?
I wish I lived at your house. Whenever my parents are together, they just fight.
Dude, I can't get a pass from you. It'd be easier to baptize a cat.
I just need you to blow off a little steam, okay?
There's one thing we do well. It's fight.
You do not want World War III to break out in your home.
No, I don't.
Just because you argue a lot doesn't mean that you fight well. You got to plead with God so that he can do what only he can do. Then you got to get out of the way and let him do it. You need to do your fighting in prayer.
Keep fighting the good fight. Keep letting your light shine. 'Cause
I've never seen anybody do what you did.
It's time for you to take off the gloves and fight for your marriage.
keep fighting the good.
Lord, we need an army of believers. Lord, call us to battle. Raise them up, Lord, raise them
Keep
up.
fighting the good fight, good fight.
So are we mixing it up good today? Change here, change there. Hopefully you have found yourself now in Revelation chapter 3. And of course, that was a plug for Our Ladies Bible study starting next month. We are looking at the church in Philadelphia. Okay, now let me just make sure that we're all on the same page. This is not the place where the Eagles play. This is not where y'all went to camp. Or from where John comes from. This is not that Philadelphia. This is a Philadelphia located 30 miles southeast of Sardis, 60 miles directly east of Smyrna. It is a rather small city by the other 6 churches' standards. It is known as the open door to Greek culture. Why is that? Well, the idea was the founders, by the way, who came from Pergamum, another city we have talked about, decided that they wanted to consolidate, regulate, and educate the barbarians. You see, they didn't just want anyone slipping into their city. They wanted there to be a nice formal period where those outside the Roman Empire could learn a little bit about what it takes to be part of the Roman Empire. And Philadelphia became that spot. It is named Philadelphia after Attalus II Philadelphus, in honor of his brother, Eumenes II. Of course, Philadelphia means in Greek brotherly love. This city finds itself located very close to a couple volcanoes. And as we have learned, volcanoes are very unstable. Unstable, unstable. It's one of those. Unstable. It's not good. Well, thankfully, Philadelphia was never destroyed by magma or lava. However, it has been destroyed by earthquakes from the trembling and rumbling before. In fact, in 17 AD, the entire city was devastated. The earthquake just wiped it out. You may remember Sardis had much the same issue. And once again, the reigning Caesar Tiberius decided to grant the citizens of Philadelphia some relief. And he forgave taxes for a 2-year period to allow them to rebuild their city. The Philadelphians were terribly grateful. They were so thankful that they changed the name of their city. And it wasn't called Philadelphia. For 25 to 30 years, it became known as Neo-Caesarea, the new Caesar city. Well, that was all well and good until Vespasius became Caesar. And then the citizens there in Philadelphia, at least the government officials, thought, well, you know, it's kind of an old name. 25 years. Got to change with the times, right? So they decided once again to rename the city, this time Flavia, out of respect for the new Caesar. But all the while, tremors continued to happen. It seems that the residents of, well, pick your favorite name for the city. I'm going to keep calling it Philadelphia. The Philadelphians were worried about moving back in. Their city had been destroyed by an earthquake. So many decided to take up residence outside the city walls. Now, context and history tells us that there was safety within the walls of a city. Outside the cities where, well, what my grandmother would call hooligans hung out. You were quite likely to be robbed or beat up or All kinds of wickedness went on out there because it was the wild, wild north, east, south, and west. This is the place that we find in Revelation chapter 3, verses 7 through 13. And God's word reads, "And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, the words of the Holy One, the true one, who has the key of David, who opens and no one will shut, who shuts and no one will open. I know your works. Behold, I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut. I know you have but little power, and yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. Behold, I will make those of the synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews and are not, but lie. Behold, I will make them come and bow down before your feet, and they will learn that I have loved you, because you have kept my word about patient endurance. I will keep you from the hour of trial that is coming on the whole world, to try those who dwell on the earth. I am coming soon. Hold fast what you have, so that no one may seize your crown. The one who conquers, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God. Never shall he go out of it. And I will write on him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, the new Jerusalem, which comes down from my God out of heaven, and my own new name. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches." Jesus is introduced to the church at Philadelphia by John with the words of the Holy One, the true one, the one who has the key of David, who opens and no one will shut, who shuts and no one will open. Only twice are the adjectives holy and true combined in the New Testament, and both of them are here in the book of Revelation. Once for Jesus here, and once of God a little later on. Holiness. A proper upright standing. A quality of greatness, pureness. For God is holy, and he calls us to be like him. The true one. True. Genuine. The opposite of fake. It is what it is. There's no putting on the Ritz. There's no, well, sort of like, it is true. I first really got that concept after we purchased our summer home. Now, that's kind of an inside joke to some people. That is what I call the residence we still own in Pennsylvania. It's just so much easier for me to handle the concept of a summer home than a house that just will not sell. I first understood the idea of true when we bought that home. Why? Because there is nothing true about that house. The walls don't really meet at the wall and floor don't really meet at 40-degree angles. They've kind of changed over time. Oh yeah, it was built in the 1890s. So there's all kinds of subtle little, my wife called it character when we bought it. There's some nuances that nothing is actually plumb or true. It's just a little bit off true, and it makes for such difficulties. Because when something happens, nothing standard fits. So the door needs trimmed or shaved or cut. The windows are strange. You know, they measure 3 feet at the top and 3.5 feet at the bottom by 6. You know, just slight deviation that you don't notice until there's a problem. And if it isn't true, everything becomes so much more difficult. It's that way with houses. It's that way with cars. It's that way with people. If we aren't true, all kinds of craziness can happen. You know what I'm talking about? We might try to look the part, but we don't act it. We don't carry it out in that means, and everything gets a little skewed. Here, John is introducing Jesus not as that person. He is perfect. He is pure, and everything lines up with what he has said and has been proclaimed about him. And then he moves on to say he has the key of David. Keys are important. I mean, think about it for a minute. How much you would miss out on your life if you'd lost your keys. And I had to watch, because I know there's someone here that probably has a smart house, and you just have to go in and get on your cell phone and everything unlocks. I, much like Brother Vosberg, I am technologically challenged. If I did that, I would lock myself out of my house and the police would show up daily. I mean, I struggle just to remember passwords. Jesus has the key. Now here, this is different than the other keys we've heard Jesus having. We've heard previously in chapter 1 that Jesus has the keys to hell and death. This is not the key we're talking about. This one is singular, and it is specific to this open door policy in the city of Philadelphia. You remember? It is the doorway to Roman acceptance, to Greek culture, to education. It has been set up sort of as an outpost to be able to vet all those barbarians. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to point over here. I'm not considering y'all barbarians this morning. Although there is one from Philadelphia over there. This church that gathers at Philadelphia, saw an incredible opportunity. God had worked in a way where the government was supporting people to move in and learn what it meant to be a citizen of Philadelphia, not even a citizen, a resident of the Roman Empire. Anyone here remember moving? Okay, maybe I should have backed up. Has anyone in here ever moved? Oh man, I like that. That makes me excited. You're along with me. How much fun is moving? Yeah. What's not fun about it? Everything. Who would consider moving stressful? Oh, I like y'all even more. It's stressful. You get all the stuff you have, you put it in boxes, to put it somewhere else, to take it somewhere else, to at some point in the future unpack it. I say at some point in the future because we've been in our home about, 16 months, 14 months, and there are still some boxes that have tape on it. And it's not, opened in tape. It's stressful. And I've learned that it doesn't matter how far you move, it's still stressful. In fact, sometimes if you're just moving 2 houses down, it's worse than moving states away. Why? You know the environment, you know everything. It's just different. And sometimes you're moving into a new area where you don't know anyone. And occasionally they speak a different dialect. And I say dialect instead of language because there are some tiny nuances that mean different things in different places. There are places where all drinks are called Cokes. In some places, if you go in and order a Coke, you get Coca-Cola. And you say, I want a Pepsi Coke. And they look at you like you're nuts. Or a 7-Up Coke. Huh? What? There are some places that call it rubber bands. Some places call it gum bands. And it seems like they can't understand each other. I don't know why. It's close enough. You would think you could just make that jump. Some people say the word bury. Some people say bury. Same kind of idea, completely different conversation. When I talk about such things, my wife just looks at me and says, what was that word? Because I say it wrong. There is stress when we move. And you know what else happens when we're under stress? We're more open to other ideas. The Roman government has now set up this outpost to help incorporate barbarians into civilized people. And the church in Philadelphia sees an opportunity. Not just to give them Greek culture, not just to give them an education, but to give them Jesus. God had opened a door that no one could shut. As folks are coming, they're proclaiming. It's simple. It was relatively easy. And they were just doing what they were told they were supposed to do. And Jesus responds to them, I know your works. Behold, I have set before you an open door which no one is able to shut. I know that you have but little power, and yet you have kept my word, and you have not denied my name. You know what's so beautiful about the church in Philadelphia? That is as close as it comes to criticism. Everywhere, almost everywhere else, we hear some really bad criticisms. You have left your first love. You have watered down the gospel. You are just a rotten bunch that run off after everything. Here, the worst, the harshest criticism Jesus gives to these people are, you have a little faith. That's the worst. And I say it that way because I know some are out there saying, oh, but we should have great faith. But Jesus himself said, behold the mustard seed, the littlest of all seeds, but it blossoms into an enormous tree. See, I don't think it was really a knock. I think he was just explaining in truth who they were. See, Philadelphia was by all accepted practices a small city. And it just follows that if the community were small, probably the believers were few in number. But they didn't deny his name. They had kept his word. It's interesting how Jesus mentions both of them. Keeping his word, they did what they were supposed to be doing. They cared for each other. They had this bond forming around them. They had one another's back. They genuinely cared about each other. Not the kind of care that so many times we exhibit. I care about you because I think there's something in it for me. You know that feeling? Celebrities tend to have those issues. They are loved, and the groups that surround them, their entourage loves them because they think there's something in it for them. That's not the case here. There's a genuine, a true care for one another. There is a true desire to share who Jesus is with the people coming into their community. And they're being allowed to do it. They have not denied his name. You see, they continue to rejoice in all that they have. They haven't denied his name. They haven't watered down the gospel. How easy is that in our day and age? It's too easy. Many times we just have to flick on the TV to hear proofs of it. You know, a shallowness? That God loves you and he wants you to have it all right now. Anyone ever heard that kind of thing? I have to ask you, who has it all right now? There's problems with that. That's not always the way God acts. That's not the way that he moves. They weren't offering a message just to gather a crowd. This was not a group that was more about the gimmick than the gospel. They wanted to give the honest to goodness truth that Jesus is alive and salvation exists in no other name. Dare we say it, not even the name of Caesar. And they're commended for it. Behold, I will make those of the synagogue of Satan who say that they are Jews and are not, but lie. Did you hear the catch? Did you hear it? There is a group of prominent people who are caught up and are concerned with their relationship to God. They go to temple every week. They have their little prayer tassels that they recite their prayers. They have their doorposts with their little boxes of prayers to be recited daily right there. They're doing all that traditionally they're supposed to do, except believing in that Messiah. For those who claim to be followers of God but are not, they lie. Set up opposed to Jesus, who is introduced as the holy, true one, the one that doesn't lie, the one who doesn't falsify, the one that doesn't even fake it till he makes it. Behold, I will make them come and bow down before your feet, and they will learn that I have loved you. Oh, those weekly temple goers. They knew their history. They knew they were the chosen people of God. They had the proper lineage. Their mama and their daddy were from the right side of the tracks. They weren't just acceptable, they were the apple of God's eye. Now, I've told you before I'm an only child, so I don't really get all of this story because, there was no one to compare to. But you know that pride you get when you're singled out for some attention? Whether it's at work and the boss just makes a big spectacle and says, "Good job, Frank. You are a fantastic worker. You are Employee of the Month." You know how you automatically start to, the chest gets a little bigger. The smile gets a little wider. Yeah, I'm pretty good. And if you win that month after month after month after month, you might have a new sharp walk on top of it. Because you're the stuff. Or you think you're the stuff. This is where the Jews were seeing themselves in relationship to God and others. He was their God. Not the barbarians' God that's coming in. Definitely not that sect from Nazareth's God who went off after this other guy named Jesus. Whoa. They saw themselves as above all that. And here, Jesus is saying, just because you have the right lineage, just because you have done everything that you think you're supposed to do, without Him, it's nothing. It's trash. You're not a son, you're an orphan. It's not about what's been done. It's not about what you've done. It's not about what you think. It's not about what you would like to happen. It's about who He is. It's also interesting that we don't see the antagonism going on between the Jewish believers and the Christians in Philadelphia. You would think there would be a lot of conflict. Everywhere else that we hear about it, there's persecution. They try to snuff out these Christians. The best that we can come up with is they were so little in number, they just weren't paid attention to. Isn't God good? Sometimes He just blinds the world around them. Sometimes He just opens doors in ways you could never imagine possible. Because you have kept my word about patient endurance, I will keep you from the hour of trial that is coming on the whole world, to try those who dwell on the earth. Because you have kept my word. Do you remember all the way back in the Gospel of John? Jesus was talking to His disciples, and He said something very specific. If you love me, you will keep my commandments. Commands. He has told us there is a certain way in which we should live. Philadelphia was doing that. They kept those words. They were showing their great love for him. And because of that, in his graciousness, he said, I will keep you from the hour of trial that I'm bringing on the whole earth. Here is one time that I am going to assure you that this is not literal. The trial that was coming on the earth was not going to be over in 60 minutes. You know how I know that? Because anyone can endure for 60 minutes. I can probably outrun and hide from people for 61 minutes. I mean, it's a big world out there. But the trial was coming, and 60 minutes, a short period of time that is a definite set of time. It wouldn't be forever. It would be just long enough. Have you ever found yourself in a conversation with someone that, how do I say this nicely, that you really wish you weren't in the conversation with? Doesn't it sometimes seem like that conversation goes on for hours and hours, and you look at your watch and only 4 minutes have passed? And you think, oh my word. That's where, if you have a significant other, you have these little signs. You know, come rescue me. It's a short period of time that is definitely going to happen to test the world. Temptations will come. God is allowing Satan to tempt, to see who he can lure away. And how do we defeat it? How do we survive? How do we conquer? How do we get through that period of time? Because you have kept the word. You have kept my word. Our faith, not faith for faith's sake, but where our faith is placed in Jesus. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. It's a great thing that we aren't held to our weaknesses. Because when we're weak, when we are followers of God, when we are in a relationship with Jesus Christ, in our weakness, we cry out for help. Help. And he meets our need. Now hear this clearly. That does not mean that we always escape physical death. Doesn't mean that. There were people from Philadelphia that died physically. But he does spare us from spiritual death. And again, back in the Gospels, I remember Jesus telling us that it would be better for us to pluck our eye out and cast it off and enter into life blind. And I love that. Because what Jesus is saying is after we pass from this physical world, then we begin living. We will not meet spiritual death. I am coming soon. Hold fast what you have, so that no one may seize your crown. Philadelphia has so much in common with Smyrna. Remember, the church at Smyrna had issues with Satan's throne being right there. They were being persecuted by the Jewish community, and they were told if they overcome, if they rise above it, if they hold tight to the faith, they will receive a crown. Philadelphia already has it. They already have it. Jesus just says, take firm hold of it. That little faith they had was immense. Take hold and guard it. Jesus was telling them, don't waver. When the temptation comes, when trials come, when and if persecution comes, hold on to your faith. Grab it with both hands. And you will conquer. You will overcome it. Physical problems might come, but spiritually, you're all right. The one who conquers, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God. Never shall he go out of it. I will write on him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, the new Jerusalem, which comes down from my God out of heaven, and my own new name. Do you remember the issue in Philadelphia? Massive earthquakes, tremors. People were afraid to live within the safety of the city walls because it all came. Have y'all seen the pictures of that poor small town in Italy? What a wonderful illustration for us, horrific for them. Just decimated. Can you imagine those survivors if there was a tremor today? How they would feel? Now, I've never been in an earthquake, and I don't recall the flood. But my parents, I grew up and my parents still live there. They live where there is a river in their backyard. I mean, their property goes right to the river. And in 1973, Hurricane Agnes came through. 72. 2, 3, I was just, I don't know. And we were fortunate. While water was everywhere, it really didn't enter into our first floor. It filled the basement, and it was only about 6 inches from coming into the first floor. But my parents had vowed, and wow, do I feel old, because they were probably about 10 years younger than I am right now. They had vowed that they lived through one flood, they wouldn't even try another one. Did you hear that? They get out. So imagine tremors that you know will come in an earthquake-ravaged area. They're fleeing to get away, and they're living outside the city walls where muggers and bandits and murderers reside. Because, you put the bad people outside the city so you can close it up and be safe from them. But when you move out there, Jesus tells them, you will be a pillar in my Father's house and you'll never leave. Can you imagine the safety and security in that? No longer do you have to worry about thieves that come in the night. You're safe. You're in the Father's house. In fact, you're a pillar of support that holds it all up. No more worry about devastation. No more worry about bandits. You are safe and secure forever. Not only that, but I will give you a new name. A name that honors the one that deserves honor. Yeah, you've been Neo Caesarea and you've been Flavia, but now you're God's. You will get it. You individually. Everything will change. No matter how good life was, you're about to go to great. Because there is no denying it. It's now part of you. Can you imagine for these refugees who are just making their way to Rome, who are coming out of, I guess we would call it the backwoods, coming to the big city of Philadelphia, and you're ushered in and they're educating you, and this few people give you something, and they start talking to you about a God, and they make him known to you, and you understand who Jesus is and what he's done. But it doesn't stop there. He is preparing to take you into his Father's house. No mortgage, no rent. It's all been paid for. You don't have to worry about natural disasters because you're in Dad's house. You don't have to worry about thieves that come at night. And he stamps you with his name. He stamps you with his city's name. He gives you a new name. That you are his and his alone. Can you imagine what that would be like? I mean, think of all the places in this world you can get into with a U.S. passport because it's stamped on there, United States of America. Man, most places you can come and go as you please with that. Yeah, and they require a little stamp of their own, but you know, you're an American. And you know what? Around the world, that's ooh. In Brazil, we were treated like royalty almost. You're an American. You are an American. Ooh, ah. And they'd all love to come and try their English on me. Half the time I understood them. The other half you do what they do to you when you're trying to speak with them in Portuguese. Yeah. But this is God's. The U.S. doesn't own it all. God does. And he's stamping you and calling you his own. That your little citizen of heaven card proudly displays your new name. That's you. That way there can be no more confusion. Because you see, there's still confusion. When I go home and I hear, Jack, I look, my dad looks. Who are we really talking about? You see, there we'll know. Philadelphia was doing everything well. It is the best part of the story of the 7 churches. They had a wide open door and they were using it. What door has God opened for Bethlehem Baptist Church? We sit here in Richmond. We have thousands and thousands around us. In fact, it's almost like God has called the nations to us. Seldom do I go anywhere where I don't hear another language being spoken. He has brought the nations to us. What are we doing about it? What are we doing with it? We have family members, we have neighbors that just need to hear that we care. Are we doing it? Do we know for certain that when it's all over and done with, that we will receive that glory passport? That's what I want to make sure is known today. That you yourself know beyond all reasonable doubt. You know, now we're going to supersede that. That's just law, reasonable doubt. With all certainty that you have one of those pillars in God's house carved out with your name on it. We'll give you that opportunity today if you're a little hazy on those details. As our musicians come, search your heart. Search your innermost parts. Do you know Jesus as your Lord and Savior? If you respond, no, or I'm not sure, I'm going to ask you to talk with me. And I'm going to do something even a little different. Sometimes folks feel pressure about walking down this aisle. As you leave, just grab me. Give me that sign. I'm not sure. I want to talk about it. And I'll be more than welcome to do it. If you answer yes, you know with certainty that you are going to heaven. Are you living your life worthy of being called a Philadelphian? Have you kept his word? Have you not denied his name? If you're standing strong there, praise Jesus. If not, let's give the other sign and say, help! I need help. I'm not living how I should be. It's not a sign of weakness. There'll be no judging. But we can't help if we don't know. As the musicians lead, come as God leads.